And for an expansion team to find that level of enthusiasm with their home, like their home audience that soon, like New York had to build to that. Minnesota had to build to that. Maybe not so hard because they have had multiple championships over the course of their careers in Minnesota, but the Valkyries immediately had that. This like they did the wave twice at the game that I went to against the Aces when I wasn't working. They literally did the wave twice. Like I'm like, what's the last time I've seen that in an arena? Like genuinely, everyone's participating, everyone's into it. There's a part of the game where they ask everyone to take out their cell phones, and it's like a starry night, and I got emotional like seeing it. It's beautiful the amount that these fans are bought in and they want to be a part of this already. The fact that the team is good is just a cherry on top, really.
But the W's been making a lot of headlines this season. Nothing new for that league. I want to jump into the Golden State Valkyries. I had a journalist on previously. He went to the opening night of the Valkyries. He talked about just the atmosphere, just how season ticket sales were exceeded expectations. But I want to get your thoughts of on the court. And I think the team has exceeded expectations in terms of how they're performing this season so far. So just overall, your thoughts on how the team is doing and their trajectory towards the All-Star break.
Well, the team right now is probably kind of licking their wounds after giving up a loss against the Dallas Wings the other night, but they are also ramping up for a game against the Indiana Fever at the time that we're recording this. They are on the upward trend. One of the things earlier on this season, particularly with the Valkyries, is that they had to figure out what they were going to do offensively. They were cementing their defense, and you've now seen that this is who they are. Their calling card is their defense, their activity, the way they get into lanes, the way they dig down in the paint. They protect the paint well, and they rebound well. I think they lead the league in defensive rebounding percentage, and that turns into offense for them. They go the other way, getting the ball off the rim or getting the ball off of turnovers. They also lead the league in steals per game. But that being said, you can't only score in transition. You can't only score in fast breaks opportunities. And the half court was really giving them a problem earlier on this season. And we've seen now a few games that they've put together in which they show it's kind of interesting, the parallel with actually their Golden State brother, the Warriors, in that 5-out constant movement, fluidity, and flow to their offense. And now what's really exciting is they have to figure out just how good they are without the stars that kind of helped build that for them. Temi Fagbenle is gone. She's at Eurobasket playing for England. You've got Ceci Zanalessini playing for Italy. Janelle Salon playing for France. I'm missing one right now. Why am I blanking? Oh, Julie Van Loop, gone for Belgium. 3 starters and another person that still is a significant contributor, and Julie Van Loo. And so you're looking and seeing what's going to happen to this Valkyries team. And the Dallas game is the first time that they were trying to figure things out. And they were right in that game, right? They were tied 70-70 in the fourth quarter, 5 minutes left to go. So it's not as if there's this significant drop off. And I think if anything, that should tell you there's a system being built in the Bay, which is a plug and play. New characters, new faces, doesn't matter. We've got to operate first from our defense and then second from a constantly moving offense. And Kayla Thornton said after that loss, she said, that's the number one thing we didn't do was just our offense got stagnant. And I'm excited to be like, it's only 10 games in and you're already talking about, we know what we're supposed to do. Right. That's hard to get to.
Absolutely. Do you think that system that you described was in mind and intentional with this being the inaugural year for this franchise?
It's a really good question. When I look at the type of players that GM Ohemanyanen pulled into this team from the expansion draft, from free agency, and even now with the replacement contracts that you're finding with, Bree Hall and Caitlin Chen, Chloe Bibby, Letitia Amihir, Ariel Powers, a lot of these players can switch 1 through 5, or at least 1 through 3. They can guard a lot of players. They also can handle the ball. And those two factors are incredibly important for positionless basketball, right? And so I feel as if, I don't know if it was a result of, it's like the chicken or the egg, right? I don't know if it was like, here's what we found out of the players that teams did not protect. We found all of these kind of versatile players, a lot of forwards, a lot of guards with size, and also bigs that run the floor. And then this is what we're going to make from what we found? Or did Natalie Nakase go to a Hammon-influenced and say, this is what I'm trying to run? Let's target these folks as we go into the draft. I haven't figured that out yet. And I from what Hammon-influenced said, like, they came in with the mindset of, we wanted players that could immediately make an impact. And you could see that. The types of players that they ended up getting could be starters in other situations, right? Tip Hayes in free agency was 6th Woman of the Year with the Vegas Aces. Temi Fagbenle was starting by the end of the year with the Indiana Fever. Probably should have been starting all year over Nalissa Smith, but absolutely a contributor for the Indiana Fever. Julie Van Loo, unbelievable rookie, and I put that in quotes because she's, an older rookie coming from overseas that was running the Washington Mystics offense. So it seems as if that was the main point, was getting players that immediately knew whatever system was going to be put in place. Can they learn quickly? Can they automatically put it in place and activate it? And that has really worked for them.
Zena, can you discuss the home court advantage that this team has and how the Valkyries have been able to transfer what has been built with the Warriors and transfer it to their home court advantage they have currently, and how that differs compared to the rest of the league in the W?
Yeah. I haven't talked to, anyone in their marketing team specifically about this because we all know from Warriors where they play, Dub Nation is a concept for their fan base, and Warriors Ground is a thing, right? Like, you're on Warriors Ground. It's a physical, but also intangible concept of not only just the court, but just like their community and this space. And I feel like there was a replication of that concept with the creation of Valhalla. And I don't know if that was on purpose or not. I think that there had to be intentional work around building community for the Valkyries, considering there'd never been a team here. It's not as if the Valkyries were replacing a team. This is like a completely new concept that they had to implement. And so I do think that there was intentionality there. I don't know if they did that on purpose to do that, because not every team, men or women's basketball, regardless, like, not every team has a concept for where they play or an idea in that way. But it is said before every game, as you watch the opening video, it is all about entering Valhalla and these players being these Valkyries, and you kind of enter this world as a part of coming to a home game. And it is different. Having just gone to the WNBA finals last year and getting to see the New York Liberty's home court experience up close, and seeing the Minnesota Lynx experience up close, two of the best by far in the league, because particularly they both play in the same arenas that their brother teams play in as well, similar to the Golden State Valkyries. This experience is different. Mind you, there are a few more seats in Chase Center than in, I think, in Target Center and Barclays, but it's loud. And for an expansion team to find that level of enthusiasm with their home, like their home audience that soon, like, New York had to build to that. Minnesota had to build to that. Maybe not so hard, because they have had multiple championships over the course of their careers in Minnesota, but the Valkyries immediately had that. This, like, they did the wave twice at the game that I went to against the Aces when I wasn't working. They literally did the wave twice. Like, I'm like, what's the last time I've seen that in an arena? Like, genuinely, everyone's participating, everyone's into it. There's a part of the game where they ask everyone to take out their cell phones, and it's like a starry night. And I got emotional, like, seeing it. It's beautiful. The amount that these fans are bought in and they want to be a part of this already. The fact that the team is good is just a cherry on top, really.
And speaking of that success that they've had early on, just kind of forecasting, do you think that's something, you mentioned the absences from several starters, more than half of that starting lineup. Do you think the success continues through the season for the Valkyries?
Oh, absolutely. I think they can only get better, especially as they continue to fold out these wrinkles of just their offense and figuring out how to fold in these new players. But again, a lot of the players that they got were in training camp with them while this was being established, right? Like, you're talking about Letitia Me here coming in. She was in training camp. She played preseason games with this system. That won't be too hard. Caitlin Chen, Chloe Bibby, same thing. Aerial Powers and Bree Hall are going to be brand new to this, but Both of them are big guards. That is exactly the energy that the Valkyries like to give off. They like big guard energy. They like this, they got size in front of you on defense. They can switch on defense. And particularly on the offensive end, they like to shoot. They like to bang inside and get on the glass and things of that sort. And so, yeah, I absolutely forecast more success for them as they get more comfortable with each other. One of the things I've seen early that I think is really key to their success is their communication. And Tip Hayes actually told me that this was one of the things that has helped them. Because they're so new, they have to over communicate. Sometimes you get comfortable, right? Like even in like a partnership, like you're dating someone, you know them for a while, you don't have to talk to them a lot about certain things. They kind of know you already. They kind of know your tendencies. They know what you're expected to do. When you're brand new, you got to say everything, right? You got to tell everybody. You got to tell everyone on this team or whoever, like, let's keep it with the analogy of who you're dating, of like, what kind of flowers you like, what kind of dates you like to go on, what kind of whatever, food you like to eat. You got to tell them every single thing. And so that level of over communication is resulting in why their defense has picked up so well and their offense is continuing to improve. And the way that they're finding themselves in better positions towards the end of games. We're just going to see this continuously grow because now they've established that over communication as a standard. And I think that can only allow them to continuously rise.
What does head coach Natalie Nakase bring to this team, being under the coaching tree previously, Becky Hammon? How does that experience play into this new era for the Valkyries?
Man, I mean, Becky Hammon is such a competitor, and she is so just gritty about wanting the best and expecting the best from her team. And not just her players, her coaching staff as well. You'll hear stories about, I think Candace Parker was talking about, no, it was Natalie Nakase talking about Candace Parker when she was on the team and she was kind of dealing with some of those injuries. Candace just wanting to consistently get in the gym and Natalie Nakase having to tell Candace like, yo, you got to chill, etc. But Becky Hammon being like, but you better be available for her if she needs it. Right. And like that was the constant oscillation with the Aces when they went on that back-to-back was like the players always wanted excellence out of themselves. The coaches were expected to provide that space for them to be excellent. And the coaches were expected to perform under that level of just elite approach to the game. And when you have someone like Becky Hammon that is consistently asking that of you day in, day out, it becomes your norm. And Natalie Nakase was already super competitive. CBS out here in the Bay did a really cool story about who she was coming up in California and through her high school career into college at UCLA. And she's just been a dog. Her sisters even, like, that's just been who she's been because she's been small. And her dad really instilled that in her to learn the game early. And I think the biggest thing that I wouldn't even credit Becky Hammon to this, I think this really starts with her dad, but she really developed this when she was an assistant under the Clippers. She was in the film room. She was in the video room. She was consistently and constantly watching film over and over and over, watching every rep, figuring out what schemes, what actions, what will work with a situation. And I think that's helped her in being able to explain the system that they're trying to run on defense and on offense to a brand new group. She is so diligent about the details. And I will say, I don't know if this comes from the Clippers, but I definitely think it comes from Becky. The level of accountability you see out on the court comes from Natalie Nakase. Kate Martin mentioned this to Sue Bird on her Bird's Eye View podcast, that Natalie will go up to the team and be like, that was my bad. That was on me. I made that mistake. And that's coming from the head down, right? That trickles down onto the team. And so I think she definitely got that from Becky. Her attention to detail, I think she's had that throughout her entire basketball career, but really picked it up with the Clippers. Yeah, that competitive energy. It was so fun watching Natalie have that win against her old mentor, her old boss, where, 95-68 win over the Aces. I mean, whether they said they thought about it or not before the game, I know it felt good afterwards.
Can you jump into some other impressions of the W? The Liberty really being dominant. A lot of other teams kind of in the middle, jockeying for a position. I'm actually surprised of the Dallas Wings struggles, to be honest, with that roster. But what other impressions do you see so far this season that's either surprising you or has caught your attention?
Sure. I mean, we can start with the Wings since we just saw them. I think the Wings have, been cobbled by injuries. They didn't have point guards for like I don't know, 3-4 games. That's tough. They also have several rookies on their team between Paige Beckers, James, and JJ Crinnerly that they're incorporating. And then they also have new faces and Dejanay Carrington and Alyssa Smith. They just added Lee Yaroo recently, like Maisha Hines-Allen. Like it's a brand new team down in Dallas. And you're talking about a team that for so long had been predicated around Arike Ogunbowale doing her thing alongside Asatu Sabally and then two bigs inside. They lost one of those bigs. They still have Tierra McCowan, but their whole system has been blown up and they're now trying to recalibrate with new talent and new faces. I think they need more time. And they also have a new coach as well. And even though Kuklanis is not new to the league, he's been successful with the Connecticut Sun before, was at the Sparks. I do think that there's still a lot of a learning curve to happen. These players need to know him. He needs to know them. He's in a new position as a head coach, and there's a lot of new faces. So there's too much talent on that Dallas team to continue this way. I do think they need better options inside. I wish they had a running big to go with those guards that they have. They have plopped themselves type in the middle type of bigs that like operate in the paint. And that's kind of hard when you've got these like driving and attacking type of guards like a Paige and Arike. Like I think I think Chris Kuklanis has to figure out like, how do I make that work? Teams that I've been really impressed by, like New York, yeah, let's just be real. Like the reigning champs got even better. Yes, they lost some faces, but Nigelina Hamilton out with the injury. They lost Kayla Thornton in the expansion draft, but they had Kennedy Burke sitting on the bench and she's just filled those shoes perfectly. Leona Fubic comes back. She's still playing at a high level. They bring back Marina Johannes, but I've been missing her for she's just so much fun. And then they add Natasha Cloud in free agency. I mean, you want to talk about a team that shored up any sort of question about their offense and their defense, etc. Like, whoo, they've done it. Don't get me wrong. We saw Indiana give them a big time loss. They're not perfect. Not every team is, but I still think that they are a strong, strong favorite to be in the mix for the finals and a championship. Same thing with the Minnesota Lynx. Nafisa Collier hurt her back. I think she has like back spasms, I believe, at the time that we're recording this. But same thing. It's just a repeat of last year. And they get Jessica Shepard back in the mix, and they've just gotten stronger as well. Diamond Miller's now back in this. And so I really like the both of them as they were. The surprises, Atlanta Dream. Woo! I am so excited about the Atlanta Dream right now. Shout out to Carl Smesco because he's also a new coach, and he's a new coach from the college system. And he's come into this system and he's had enough humility to be like, all right, let me make sure I got some WNBA folks on my staff. I am asking a tall task of this team to put the threes up. Put the threes up. I don't care if they go in, put the threes up. But he has found a way to highlight all of these players, even with the system that he wants to run that's coming from Florida Gulf Coast. You've got Brianna Jones shooting more threes in this season already. I think they've played like 10 or 9 games or however many games they've already played. She's got more threes in this season than she had all last season. All last season, right? You're asking players to now come out of their comfort zone, and they're responding and they're growing. Alicia Gray looks like an MVP caliber player. Ryan Howard right alongside her. And then you've got all of these other faces that are doing well. In a Tahina Pau coming out of South Carolina, she looks phenomenal, incredible. All rookie team, playing defense, shooting at the ball incredibly well. You know, Brittany Griner looks at home in this mix. She doesn't feel like she's clogging up the paint. She's moving well. This is a fun team, Atlanta. And I think they're a dark horse to be in that finals conversation as well. And then I think the other surprise for me, I think Indiana, they shored up in a way that you would expect that they're playing well. Caitlin Clark is Caitlin Clark. She's phenomenal. She's doing unbelievable things. We know that. And they also have a lot of talent around her. Phoenix is another one that I don't know if they'll make it to the finals, but I don't think they'll be a first round exit in the playoffs. They look good. They've got what I say, the quote around rookies again. They've got some quote rookies, players that come from overseas that have come in. Catherine Westbell, Lexi Held, Monique McConney. Like there's so much talent right now. I'm thinking Kitia Laksa, sharpshooter. Like they've got so much around already. Superstars, all-stars in Alyssa Thomas and Satu Sabally. And now Kalia Copper back in the mix as well. I'm loving the way that Phoenix looks, and I really love the way that that team has taken to Nate Tibbetts, who only in his second year of coaching looks really, really confident and has a good handle of how to utilize his players.
Real quick, as we're up against it, do you have an early MVP candidate so far?
I mean, Fee's hurt, but Nafisa Collier, she's doing it all. She's literally doing it all. And don't get me wrong, yes, of course she has a team around her, but her consistency is unmatched. I love, she's doing what she was doing last year, and A'ja Wilson's just not doing what she was doing last year to make it so that it was unanimous A'ja Wilson last year. Nafisa Collier can score at 3 levels. She can defend 1 through 5. She's going to bump down and low in the paint. She's going to hit the trail 3. She's going to pass it in transition. She's going to do everything that you can ask anyone on that team to do, and she's going to sacrifice her body to do it. She's unreal. She was MVP and Unrivaled. Keep the trend going, I feel like.
No, totally agree. She's incredible. Thank you, Zena, for joining us. Really appreciate it. Can you let our audience know where they can find you on social media, all your upcoming projects, your podcast you currently host?
For sure. All my handles are It's Zena Keita, ITSZENA KEITA. And then podcast right now, NBA Daily, still covering the NBA all the way up through the finals at least, and then the draft coming up. And then women's basketball, of course, No Offseason, the Athletic Women's Basketball Podcast. Host that with Sabrina Merchant, Ben Pickman, and Chantel Jennings, our writers over at The Athletic. And yeah, we're talking hoops. Come hang.
Appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for having me.